Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 198.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here today. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm glad because I get a lot of the same question a lot of times. I mean, we hear it over and over and over again. Jay, should I use an LLC? What about an FLP? What about an S corporation? What about all of this other stuff? And what do I do after it's formed? And how do I keep track of all of those things? And oh my God, there's just so much paperwork. It's overwhelming. And I just haven't started because I can't get and I don't understand all the paperwork just to form my entity and make business happen. All right. We're going to put an end to that today. All right. We're going to end that today. You're going to have absolutely no excuse for moving forward at the end of this episode because today's guest is an expert at helping entrepreneurs get off their behinds, get out there, get that corporation started, get that entity in the right spot so that you can go out there and do what you do best, which is not paperwork, right? So remember this. You always do what you do best and hire out the rest. And today's guest is an expert at the stuff that you and I probably don't like doing anyway, but it's been her passion, and so much so, she's done it not once but twice, and we'll talk a lot about that. Today's guest is Nellie Akalp. Now, the words I like are serial entrepreneur. It means she has this bug. She can't just do it once and sit on the sideline. She's got to do it again. And we're going to definitely talk about that. But she's also a small business advocate, speaker, author, and she is the founder and CEO of Corpnet.com. It's an online legal document filing service where she helps entrepreneurs. That means you start, grow, and maintain a business. That's usually called paperwork that you don't like doing and let get out of date. And you know you should be doing it and you need some help with it. So let's talk to Nellie and make sure that that happens for you. Nellie, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Jay. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm glad that you do what you do. I just want to get that right out of the chute, because
I'm glad what I do too. I love
and
it.
I'm always grateful for individuals who love to do the things that I can't stand.
Well, that makes me super happy because then I definitely have an answer to all of your headaches.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I think that's how business works. It's like there's someone who loves and enjoys to do the thing that you either aren't good at, don't want to do, or just would rather not do. And you choose the paperwork. This is going to be interesting to understand and to unpack. Now, before this, though, many longtime listeners to the Cashflow Diary podcast, they know the question I'm about to ask you. You may not know, but that's okay. I promise you'll handle it fine. I look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. You can take Wonder Woman, for example. And I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton in common. We get dressed up. Sometimes we put on a cape, tights, etc., and we use our special skills to go out there and improve the lives of other individuals, and we tend to call them customers, clients, tenants, etc., etc., etc. However, I also think that all entrepreneurs also have the same thing in common with superheroes in the sense that before Wonder Woman was, flying around in her invisible jet, which no one has really ever seen, and the Hulk was, doing the things that he does, they were just normal individuals. They had an origin story. They started somewhere. So before you were out there servicing hundreds of thousands, I think it's somewhere near 200,000 corporations you've assisted in forming and been out there helping entrepreneurs get started and create jobs and do the things that we do. Before all of that, before the books, before the multiple companies, before all of those things, what we want to know is, who is Nellie Akalp?
So I'm an only child. I grew up. My native background is Iranian. I'm from Iran. Migrated here in 1976, and really grew up as a survivor. Kind of had that survivor mentality because I was an only child coming from divorced parents. So really had to take care of myself along the way. But the one thing that I owe my success to, part of my success to, is that, I had a ton of opportunity to hang around my grandparents' multiple businesses at the time. When they migrated to the U.S., they started with an antique shop and then migrated to the restaurant industry and then to a franchise business. So I always was exposed to a lot of that on a daily basis, because after school I would get picked up and then I would have to go to the family business, stay there until the store closed and then go home. So, I got to see a ton of what my grandparents did, what my mom did in helping my grandparents, and really see them hustle to make ends meet. And I think that brought a lot of consistency and experience for me, and built a great foundation for me as to who I am today. And really coupled with the fact that my grandpa would always tell me that, you need to continue on with education, although it may not help you in your daily life, it really builds up the way you think and the way you approach problems. And you need to go on to getting your education, finishing school, finishing college, and then going on to graduate school. So for me, that was graduating Westlake High School, which is really where I reside today and where the company's headquarters are, in Westlake Village, California, and then going on to getting my bachelor's degree in business administration and marketing from Cal State University, Northridge. And then that's where I met my husband, my college sweetheart, and then we decided we had similar interests, and we decided to go to law school. We didn't get into the same law school, fortunately. I think that's a blessing for us. And then in law school, that's when we decided to come up with the idea of helping small businesses, entrepreneur startups, with helping them start their businesses online.
Now, what I love about this is that you said you got to see it from an early age, and I also like the fact that having come here from another country, and I think you have a completely unique. I think every immigrant has a completely different perspective on the U.S. than even native-born U.S. citizens do, simply because of that juxtaposition of you still have the other country or the other background to be able to juxtapose against. But the thing I think I heard the most is that you never expected anything to be handed to you.
I don't, and I still don't. I think a true entrepreneur really has to go and hunt for it themselves. It's like hunting for food. And frankly, right, in my opinion, if you really want true success, it can't be handed down to you, because then you never will be happy. And for me, the biggest gratification in my life is that I'm not a trust fund baby. I didn't come into a windfall. Nothing was ever handed to me. What I have today is as a result of all my hard work and effort that my husband and I did together while everybody else was partying.
Right, exactly. While they were partying, probably causing a lawsuit, you were out there pretending or preparing, I should say, and building your own skill sets. And I love your grandpa. I mean, if he was out there telling you that education was going to be useful, did he actually say it may not be useful in your everyday life? Did those words come out of his mouth?
My grandpa was a very interesting man, and I love him to death. He's still alive to this day, and he was a college professor. His forte was economics, and to him, it was always about innovating and elevating yourself to the next level, always reading books. And his thing to me was that truly, you're never going to be anything unless you get an education. And the reason why he would say, well, you may not use every aspect of every subject that you may, have to take in school in your everyday life. What really he was saying was the fact that you need to go through the regimen and routine and consistency of what school and college and graduate school gets you to be able to frame your mind in a way whereby you can ultimately become successful. And for me, that helped a lot, because the one thing that I saw with him and the message I got from him was that he wasn't afraid of failure. He was always worried about being number two, which is one of my, fears is I'm not, fearful of failing, because for me, failure is just merely another opportunity to be seized. What I'm afraid of is always ending up as number two, and I always want to come up number one because I'm a very competitive individual. And what I see through my grandfather and what I saw through him was the fact that throughout every obstacle in his life, he managed to take a different road and make it work. And that taught me that you just don't give up. If a road closes in front of you, then look for other opportunities, look for another open path, and take that path until you see success. And I thought that was a really strong message that really helped in building my foundation as an individual, as a person. And I guess, sometimes, being an only child and really having to do most of the things yourself really, kind of sets you up earlier in life for what's ahead. And I think that has a lot to do with it for me as well.
Well, what I think is very interesting is you're telling us that your grandfather's an academic who had a unique perspective on failure. I mean, the world of academia is usually get it right the first time, and you can't exactly get help because that's typically called cheating. Yet he did that. That's not what he instilled in you, which I just think that's awesome. Now, and you're the first person that I think I've run into in a long while who said something to the effect of, I'm afraid of being number two. Depending on the size of the marketplace, number two might not be that bad. So
that's true. And you bring up a great point. And I want to clarify that in the fact that number two is not bad, but I look at everything in comparison to myself. And one of the things that I don't do is compare myself to somebody that I never can be number one or have the resources to be or want to be, but in my own capacity and for who I am, I always try to goal myself and elevate myself and have a higher goal than where I am today. And I think that's the key to becoming successful, because if you're always kind of going at your own pace and not, have tougher goals for yourself, then you're never going to grow. So for me, it's a matter of being number one in respect to the colleagues that I'm up against, and I think I've done a pretty good job of building myself from ground zero in a matter of 6 years, because you have to understand, when we started in 1997, it was a whole different ballgame. I started my first company at the height of the internet era and grew that company to where it was doing a substantial amount of sales. And then we had the blessing of being approached by a publicly traded company and were acquired in 2005. And then we decided, although they were a great company and we were blessed with the opportunity, we decided it's not for us. It lost its entrepreneurial culture and spirit for us and really boxed our creativity. So we decided after the acquisition to step out of the game. We were under a non-compete for 3 years. And then once our non-compete ran out, and after dabbling in a few other types of businesses, we really realized that our passion lies with small business and really helping people realize what their passion and purpose in life is and making that into a reality for them. And that's when we started Corpnet.com. And with Corpnet, it was interesting because we started it in 2009 at the height of the recession and at the height of a new era, which is the social media age. So in a matter, and my current company, Corpnet, here we are, we started it now, and we're competing against my old company, which is still in business, the 800-pound gorilla, which everyone refers to as LegalZoom, and then several other competitors out there. So for me, it was a matter of people looking at me and going, "Are you out of your mind? You've done this, and you have all the money in the world to just go relax for the rest of your life. Why do you want this headache?" And my response to that is, well, I'm young, I'm passionate, I'm frankly too motivated and too bored to take on an early retirement. And I know I can do this because bring it on. I wanted to prove to myself, and there's that competitiveness inside of me. And so, within a matter of 6 years to date, which is how long my current company, Corpnet, has been in business, I've been able to literally build myself up as a small business expert. I'm all over the social media. I write for practically every, highly visited outlet out there, such as Forbes, Entrepreneur, Business News Daily, Business Insider. I've been on Fox, Wall Street Journal. So it's a matter of being consistent and persistent and having a vision and a drive that I think really, really lies within a true entrepreneur. And that's what I've been able to do with myself. And for who I am and the type of company I lead within my category, I consider myself a winner, because truly when people call in here, we're not being compared to all the other competition. We're being compared to LegalZoom, and that for me, it's a huge validation that I'm doing something right. And although I'm being compared to the big fish out there, I'm considered a little fish, I'm still doing great. And I consider that an accolade of what my team is doing, and we're doing something right, that we're being compared to LegalZoom in a nutshell.
Indeed. And I love it. I mean, you found a way to compete against yourself. In the sense that you're in the same space as your prior company. And I'm like, okay, cool. So now you just got to go beat yourself again, do it better than you did it last time. And now you're being compared to, like you said, LegalZoom, et cetera. But the thing I find interesting that you said in that last little bit, you and I had it sounds like we've had a similar experience. And I can remember back, it was a few years ago now, where we were around, we just only had about 117 units of property at that time. And I said, okay, let's try this retirement thing. And I got so bored and I had nothing to do. And I'm just like, I got to do something. I got to contribute. I felt like too young, got to go make that happen. So I have to ask you this question. When it comes to, because from the outside looking in, a lot of people want to start a company. Let's break this down. You went to school, you got the grades, then you graduated, then you started a company. So let's just start with that. That's a lot of people's goals in and of themselves. But then you did something additional. You had a very successful exit to a publicly traded company. At that point, most people go, I'm done. And you still said, no, I'm not. I got more to contribute. So do you think you'll ever retire?
Well, it's funny you asked that, because after the sale and acquisition of the first company, it was kind of bittersweet for me, Jay, because although I was really excited about the exit strategy, that in all transparency, we had no knowledge or plan of any type of exit strategy. But once it happened, it was very bittersweet for me, because from one end, here I am raising this baby from ground zero, and now I'm selling it. And it's like you're handing off your child to somebody else. And I no longer have any ties to that old company. It was a clean sale, and it's since that acquisition, the company was sold again, and it's now held by a private individual. And we wish them well and success in all their endeavors, but I don't have any ties with them. So in answer to that question, it's bittersweet, because from one end I was excited and elated that at such a young age, I was able to come in such success. But from another point, for me, it was sad because how much traveling, how much shopping, how much,
Yeah, exactly.
soul searching are you going to do? And for me, it literally did not take more than a year that I was bored. And I was truly bored. I was so bored that I ended up starting a clothing line and selling custom-made, hand-painted T-shirts out of the back of my S550. Believe it or not.
No, I believe it. I believe it because there's some of us out there, and I'm going to include myself into this group, where we just got to create value. That's what we were here to do. We must find a way to create value, put some systems and structure around something, and offer it to people. Yes. Sitting still at home, there's only, so you went the route of the clothing line. I started playing with remote control helicopters and photography equipment. And it got so bad, it got to the point to where I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can get published as a photographer. And then I started doing freelance work for our local newspaper because I needed something to do.
Yes.
I couldn't sit either. So
I can't sit still even when I'm home. That's just my personality. We had some company over the weekend, and I can't sit down for 1 second. If I'm not doing one thing, I'm doing another. If I'm not with the children and, playing in the pool, I'm cooking. If I'm not cooking or cleaning, I'm watering the plants. But that's just something that's inside of me whereby I can't sit still. And, it has its negatives and positives. I think it's good sometimes to just take a chill pill and just sit down and relax. But, I would say for me, it keeps me busy. It keeps me motivated. And the pluses of always being on the go is that it keeps me young. And believe me, I'm not getting any younger. I'm about to celebrate 44 in a matter of a couple of weeks here. So it really keeps me young at heart. And frankly, when I know that I'm doing something that's providing a solution and simplifying people's lives, and really, really, I get to share my story and blaze and have a message out there. And even if it's just touching one person's heart, then I've done my job, because the legacy that I want to leave behind is one of, it was because of her message. It was because I heard her at this function or on this podcast. And you know what? I liked her. I resonated with her, and I can do it. So I got up and did something. And for me, that's very gratifying, more than anything in the world.
Agreed. There's only so much lazing around that you can do. Now, I have to ask, for what is probably the multi-billion-dollar question in this case, is most people find it challenging to get that entity started. Most people find it challenging to deal with that paperwork. I am so grateful that that's not my responsibility for, all of the entities and whatnot that we use and leverage. But I'm just trying to understand the inner workings of someone who would go, I know, let me help you with that paperwork and form these entities and keep these compliance notes and these all of these. I'm like, that you get excited about that? See, when you're out there building your business, one of the things that you want to do is you want to look for those individuals who will play at the things that you work at. And we all know that I work at paperwork. And when it comes to paperwork, I need other individuals to make that happen. And it's individuals like Nellie who are able to do the things that are necessary, that are valuable, etc. We just got to find those partners in various different ways. You got to find it in your executive assistants. You got to find it in your CFOs. You got to find it in your operations people. You got to find it everywhere you go. The cool thing is that they're out there. You just got to go out and begin to build the database. Let people know that these are your needs. And I have a feeling that person eventually will materialize. You won't hire them correctly the first time. That's okay. You can eventually get it right. you want more information about team building specifically, as I'm thinking about it, you probably want to head over to cashflowdiary.com/free book. You're going to get a copy of Cashflow Diary, 10 Steps to Creating Wealth in Any Economy. That's my book. Or if you're on a mobile device right now, you can send a text message. Text the word book, BOOK, to 72000. That will also get you a copy or link to be able to get an electronic copy of the book delivered to you immediately. You begin to consume it. Not only will you learn about team building, you're also going to learn about prospecting. You're going to learn about deals, and you'll even see a case study of an actual apartment building being done. Here's the point. You got to start somewhere. Might as well start here. Might as well start now. Go over to cashflowdiary.com/free book or text book to 72000, 72000. Well, let's get back to Nellie.
I do, because number one, it's a matter of bringing it all together and creating a system for people with automation and really taking something that's so complicated and simplifying it for the small business owner. And for us, it was a matter of, well, obviously we went through a lot of tedious paperwork and book work while we were in law school. And frankly, the idea came about because my husband was getting a D in his corporations class. And that's the irony of it. And now we're selling incorporations to all 50 states. So it's very ironic. But frankly, it was really the simplification for us was creating this awareness to the general public that you do not need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars going to an attorney or an accountant to get a business started. You can do it online with a reputable filing company such as our company, Corpnet, whereby we can take all the hassle and paperwork off your plate, and we can take care of the paperwork and filing for you as long as you provide us with the information. And as a result, you get to focus on what you're great at, which is focusing on the idea, building the idea, and growing the business. And we can focus on what we do best, which is doing the paperwork and all the hassle of filing the paperwork with the state and getting it filed with the state, which will save you a ton of money down the line because we'll do it at a fraction of the cost of what an attorney or accountant would charge you. And not only that, we'll make sure that it's done error-free, and we'll do it fast so that you'll have your paperwork when you go to open up your bank account and start operating your business. Along with that, we'll make sure that you have all the necessary licenses and permits, and also confirm that throughout our journey together, your business remains compliant both with state, local, and federal laws, with all the filings you need to do to keep the business in compliance on a yearly basis.
And those are the things that this is why I'm glad you exist. That all of those things are the things that I know that we do, and we have to do them. And fortunately, we outsource them. And you're just saying you're there to be outsourced. One of the unique things that I found on your website anyway, or at least I feel like it's unique, is you have, I think you call it a business structure wizard.
Yes.
Where you make it simple for individuals to get to the bottom line of which version of the alphabet soup should they be using. Tell us more about that, because I think people need to really know about that.
Absolutely. So one of the biggest questions that we get from entrepreneurs, small business owners, and startups is, now that I know I need to incorporate or legitimize my business, the question becomes, well, what should I be? Should I set up as an LLC or a corporation or an S corporation? What should I do? And bottom line, the business structure wizard was designed by attorneys, accountants, and myself and my husband to answer all of those questions. So it takes you through a series of questions based on your particular business. And then at the end of the interview process, which is about 3 minutes. It recommends a business structure for your particular business based on your tax structure and business description and what products or services that you'll be engaging in with the business. Again, it's a very, very simple process. It's an app that you can do online. And for those of you who are not sure as to which particular business structure you should form to legitimize the business structure wizard is your answer and can give you those tools and resources and ultimately the answer.
And that's the thing. There were just so many questions as I was going through it. And I'm just like, yeah, these are. I mean, I know these answers, which is great, but that's only because it's not my first rodeo going through putting together, a corporation of some kind. But I have a question. Because I know there's a number of people listening that they don't reside necessarily in the U.S., but they want to take advantage of the, U.S. business structure or U.S. real estate or things of that nature. So are you able to help? Is it that they have to reside in the U.S. or that the business has to be in the U.S.?
Generally speaking, and for purposes of transparency, Jay, I'm not a legal expert, and Corpnet cannot provide with legal, tax, or financial advice. However, generally speaking, anyone can set up a business in the U.S., even if they're an out-of-state resident. Typically, with that type of situation, you normally want to opt for the LLC because the limited liability company is great for a business that wants the liability protection, but also has members that are out-of-state residents because anyone can be an owner of an LLC. However, at the end of the day, you should definitely talk to your tax consultant or tax expert, accountant, CPA to see which business structure suits you best. But in answer to your specific question, there is no bar against setting up a corporation or LLC within the United States if you're an out-of-state resident.
And those are the types of questions. I'm assuming that if they call, they have the ability to also get clarification on their particular situation.
Absolutely. We have live business experts standing by online through live chat, or you can call in during normal business hours of 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Fridays, and call and talk to one of our tenured business experts here.
So let's ask the real question. Why do you think most entrepreneurs don't do this? Take the time to get their entity put into place, or why is there such a roadblock? At least, even if it's only mental, why is there such a roadblock in this part of the process?
Truthfully, I think it's still because there's a lack of awareness out there for most newbie entrepreneurs that such a company and such services, such as our services, exist. I think the general, default is that only an attorney or accountant can handle with these types of filings. And frankly, that's why we're here, getting on these webinars and podcasts to create more of an awareness, because I still think that awareness lacks in most areas. And oftentimes the default is to go to an attorney or accountant. And then frankly, they won't, because either they don't have the money or the resources, or they don't want to deal with the headache of an attorney or accountant. And we truly simplify the entire process for them. I mean, I had a client just a few minutes ago that has done business in the past with us and used an accountant for his filings. And he just reached out to me saying, hey, my company's in bad standing because I thought my accountant was going to handle all the yearly paperwork with the state, and she didn't. And now my corporation is in bad standing, and hence, wanted to reach out for us to make it right for them. And we did, and we reinstate the company for him. However, these are the things that oftentimes small business owners get into and run into is that they think only an accountant or an attorney can handle these filings for them, and then they either spend a ton of money and end up not having it done right, or they spend the money and are unhappy with the overall process. So all in all, we're trying to be out there to continue to create more of an awareness and be a partner throughout the lifetime of the small business owner's business filing process with them.
Indeed. And basically what you're saying, I mean, to use an analogy from, being a parent, you can't just give birth. You also have to change the diaper. And
exactly.
And that extra work, you don't know what you don't know, especially if you're a first time parent. You're like, oh my God, all of these things, these accessories come with this LLC, this S corporation, this LLP, or whatever it is that you end up with. There's just so much extra stuff that you don't know that has nothing to do with generating revenue, providing the product or service in any way, shape, or form. And it's usually seen as a distraction deterrent, or at least I'm telling you, I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad corporations like you exist, because I don't enjoy that part of the process.
Well, I'm glad that we exist too, and I'm hoping that we can become a lifetime resource for you and your clients, Jay.
So here's the thing. Give us an idea, because I am familiar with them, but there could be a number of individuals, because on the whole side of this awareness thing, that maybe now people are aware, oh, well, cool, here's an easier way for me to get things started. Awesome. But what are some of the things for those that are already started? Some people who may have, a C Corp, S Corp, or some sort of entity that they started, they've been still doing business, but they're like, I might need to check on some of these, diaper changing moments that they're talking about that they may not have looked at. What are some of those common ones that are missed that you guys can help with?
So we provide the most comprehensive, cost-effective services and filings when it comes to starting a business, such as incorporating your business, setting up a sole proprietorship, setting up a partnership, setting up an LLC, setting up a professional corporation. But we also assist existing entrepreneurs with, if they have an existing company such as a corporation or LLC, and for example need to close the business or modify information within the business, or if the business is in bad standing and they need to reinstate the business, or let's say they're doing business in one state and now their business is growing and they want to also do business in a different state. We often help with that in foreign qualifying them in other states. We do it all from A to Z. We are a one-stop shop for any and all types of business filings in all of the 50 states. And we can handle it from opening the business to modifying the business to closing the business to reinstating a business when the business is in bad standing, in addition to helping the small business owner with ongoing filings to keep the business in compliance and making sure they have necessary updates as to when their tax filings are due, when filings are due with the state level. And we can either give them a reminder or set them up whereby we can take care of the filing for them. So in essence, we become, again, a partner throughout the lifetime of the business with the small business owner. And what really, really helps in this respect is that, again, the business owner is looking to us in handling all the paper filings and paperwork when it comes to their business, and they can focus on what they do best, which is running the day-to-day operations of the business, growing the business, doing the marketing and branding of the business. And our businesses are not limited to just business filings. We also assist with trademark filings and registrations, copyright registrations, anything and everything that a business needs to run its business, run its website. If you're doing business under multiple names, we can help and get those names under the umbrella of the corporation or LLC. So basically, in essence, we're a one-stop shop for all your business filing needs when it comes to your company, whether it be an S corporation, C corporation, LLC, or simply a sole proprietorship or a partnership.
Now, if you've just listened to all of that and your head just exploded, it's completely understandable. However, understand this. She's here. Corpnet exists because that isn't your highest and best use of your time as the entrepreneur. Yeah, you need to know these things, and if foreign qualification modifying and reinstating and all this other stuff, you haven't done it yet, and that's okay. Just know that there's a place you can go when you do need it, and that's exactly why we do our best to bring individuals like Nellie to you, so that you know that this is out there, so it doesn't prevent you from being afraid. I had a friend once, Nellie, believe it or not. He was unwilling to actually move forward in business because he was just simply afraid of getting the paperwork wrong and that 3-letter acronym called the IRS. That was it.
Yes. We get a ton of that too. And again, we're here for you, and we deal with the IRS on a daily basis. In fact, one of the steps to making sure you can open up your bank account is to apply for what is called a federal tax ID number, which is also called your EIN number with the IRS. And again, you can do this on your own. You simply go to the IRS website and you can apply for it on your own. But then again, what we hear is that the small business owner runs into a ton of difficulties. They provide the wrong information because they're not sure what information to provide. And then they get assigned an EIN number based on incorrect information. So this is where we come into play, in that although we charge a minimal service fee, or it's included as part of one of our packages, we can get this number for you, but it's done correctly, and we can get it for you literally in minutes, so that you can be on your way to setting up your business, your bank account, and on your way to making money.
Well, and that's the thing. That's exactly what I wanted you to be able to share with everybody and let them know, is that there's a way to get it done. And if you've ever given the wrong information to any governmental entity, trying to get that corrected, oh my God, is never a fun task. So for those that have listened this far, Nellie, and want to engage further, where can we track you down, find out what you guys are up to, and figure out further ways to engage with you?
Absolutely. So you can always direct message me at Corpnet Nellie on Twitter. We can also connect through our website by visiting online at www.corpnet.com. You can reach out through email with any questions or inquiries to info@corpnet.com, or simply pick up the phone and dial 1-888-449-2638. Our office hours are Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Excellent. Now, one final question. For those that are, considering putting on their superhero outfit for the very first time, becoming that entrepreneur, that maybe they go, you know what, I'm ready for my cape. I think I want a mask. They're not quite sure the color yet, but they want to try. They want to make that stab, but they still have that voice in the back of their head. That voice that sometimes says, I don't know. Oh, you've never done this before. Or, oh, is it really going to turn out too well? Or you might be number 2. What would you say to that person?
I would say go for it, because if you don't go for it, you're never going to know what happens. And if you truly have an idea, stop, keeping it a secret, and quit dreaming about it and make it happen, because ideas are a dime a dozen, and really it really comes to reality when you make it a reality. So if it's an idea that you truly have passion for and you believe in it and you think it's going to provide a solution out there to your community and to the general public, you might as well go for it, even if it's starting it as a side job, and at least you'll know the answers quickly. But my thing is, put it out quickly so that you know if it's going to fail quickly or not. And that's the way to do it, because otherwise you'll always wonder, and it'll literally eat at you and burn you. Indeed.
Well, I just want to say I thank you for providing your service, and most importantly, clarifying and clearing up those issues, making it easy for us to actually focus on the things that we like to do and providing the value, doing the marketing, engaging and growing the business and our customers so that, otherwise, who knows, where we would be without that paperwork getting done. We might be sitting behind a cubicle going, man, I just don't know how to do the paperwork. But you make that all possible. And I appreciate you taking the time to invest and share your knowledge and information here with us at the Cashflow Diary.
Well, thank you, Jay, and I appreciate the opportunity to coming on your show, and I hope that it's been a valuable resource and great set of information for all of your audience.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean today? That means you probably need to go over to corpnet.com. Maybe you need to pick up the phone and dial 1-888-281-7111 and get on the phone and make something happen. Take a measurable action. If nothing else, go use that nifty little business structure wizard. I'm telling you, you'll like the result at the end of the day, and you will have taken one step closer to making your dream come true. Guys, gals, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.